Welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark, and today's episode is going to be a Slaanesh Emperor's Children one. Joining me, I got that two sickest fucks I know to join me. We got Court.
Hey, what's up, Mark? Yes, this is going to be a vile episode, and I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and we also got Logan. Yo.
Hey, I'm just laughing because Quarter's like the sweetest guy I know, and I am so gentle. They're one of the most twisted guys I know.
They're demented.
Yeah, we're so evil and cruel. I love it.
I fully expect to cry in this episode, not out of like the emotional, like, oh, the Emperor and Horus, but just out of like, I don't want to read this grossness anymore.
Read it, boy.
Yeah.
You gotta read that. But which blade was that?
Yeah.
The
How
one
did they
horse.
enter that position again?
Are we taking notes, gentlemen?
Yeah, for later. Cool. Well, it's gonna be a fun episode. We'll do some housekeeping before we get into our little topic of the Emperor's Children, and we're doing the 40k era and Warband era. So some housekeeping. Join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. Right now, they're doing a a tabletop simulator giveaway. So if you win this contest on there's 4 copies of that game to give away, and then you can play Warhammer with other people on the Discord server. So that's pretty cool.
Pretty sweet. And if you're not a Imperial Tithe member, please join the Imperial Tithe on Patreon. Support the show. For an ad-free version, it's only $2.50 a month. That's it. And for a video version, seeing our beautiful mugs here, it's only $5 a month. So please, any support you guys give goes directly to the show. Greatly appreciate it.
And if you join us for the $5 a month tier, that means you get access to the live stream while we're filming, and you get to be part of the chat. There's also a chance that you can be called in and join us on the episode. So join the Imperial Tithe at that $5 tier.
Yeah, I love the call-ins. I promote from the call-ins. I'm like, hey, come on to the podcast now. And that's always fun. All right, let's get into the episode. So we'll do a little recap of where we left off. We covered Fulgrim, and we talked about his story all the way from his origins on Chemios and taking that factory world and turning it from a dump into a glorious, prestigious planet, very wealthy. Then he goes off into the Great Crusade, takes kind of this broken legion, and he rebuilds them, and he goes out. And we talked about him in the Horus Heresy and what vile things he did. He killed his brother Ferrus Manus. He also was always getting distracted, it seemed like, and he would turn on anyone. There's multiple times where it's not like he was hunting a specific person or trying to prove some tactical point or anything. He was just doing whatever hedonistic thing he wanted to do. During the Siege of Terra, he, instead of helping during the siege, just went off and, let's just say, violated the citizenship on Terra. And then we finally get to kind of more the Emperor's Children themselves and who they are and their fall. We learned about all that in the last episode. And now we're going to jump forward 10,000 years to 40k era. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of their history, but also how they organize themselves, some of their specialized war gear, all that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah. You guys were on the first one with me, right?
Yes.
The Fulgrim episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got right to the part where he was about to get into beef with his brother.
Oh, and beef they did get into.
Yeah,
Beef
Court was getting real shaky.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, if you don't know how it ended, they shook hands and everything was good.
They hugged it out in a beautifully display brotherly affection.
At a few points in the episode, we were like, let's just end it there. It's the end of the story. Nope. They lived happily ever after. Close the page. Done.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They
No.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for them.
No.
Yeah, we talked about that for sure, and how Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children, or a Legion of First, they're kind of the first ones to really give themselves fully to chaos. They get their first demon prince. They get kind of the first Primarch they killed. There was a whole bunch of them that we could find.
It's because they're perfect at everything they do.
Well, that's kind of true, though. They were at an elevated status, by naming the chapter, or the legion, rather, the Emperor's Children, and by having their sigil be so closely resembled with the Emperor himself. Like, they were kind of at an elevated position within the Crusade, and like it's like
Yeah.
that classic, like, the higher up you are, the worse the fall from grace, and fall
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Nemo highlighted they were also the first to use poop as paint. So they were truly a first.
Yeah. Not for our audience.
That's right.
First there. Yeah. Well, I think at this point we heard the slow corruption and their slow fall to Slaanesh. First you just got a little demon sword whispering in your ear, and then next you're making poop paintings. It's slowly and then all of a sudden. But we haven't really talked about Slaanesh itself. So let's do a little bit of a dive into that before we get into the 40k era stuff. Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, the Lord of Excess, represents the seductive allure of perfection, indulgence, and corruption. Known among the Eldari as She Who Thirsts, Slaanesh thrives on the hedonism and pride of mortals. Followers of Slaanesh are bound not only by lust and decadence, but by their pursuit of perfection in all forms, whether in battle, art, or ambition. Born from the unchecked indulgence of the ancient Eldari Empire, Slaanesh emerged during the 30th millennia, tearing apart the galaxy with its burst scream. The psychic implosion created the Eye of Terror, and consumed billions of Eldari souls, feeding the gods' insatiable hunger. It is said that even an act of knowing Slaanesh's name risks falling under its thrall, as the Dark Prince whispers promises of perfection and power to the weak-willed. Yet the influence extends beyond debauchery. The desire to craft the perfect melody, achieve flawless combat mastery, or create peerless beauty can lead to the most virtuous in the Dark Prince embrace. Can lead even the most virtuous into the Dark Prince's embrace. Mortals drawn to Slaanesh are consumed by pride, abandoning restraint in their quest to fulfill their most exquisite and forbidden desires. The fall of the Eldari stands as a cautionary tale, a mirror to the hubris of the Imperium man. As the Eldari succumbed to their decadence, this once glorious civilization devolved into madness. Even their gods could not withstand Slaanesh's wrath, save for a few survivors like the laughing god of Segarak. To this day, the Eldari remain haunted by the echoes of the fall, and even their sworn enemies wonder how long until the Imperium meets a similar fate. It's very interesting. I've always kind of found it neat how, even though Slaanesh is kind of was created by the Eldar, it chose its avatars as kind of Fulgrim, his legion. They're like the main thing that he's corrupted,
Yeah,
it wasn't some Eldari thing.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense because he's Lord of Perfection and Excess, so why wouldn't he want to corrupt the most perfect legion there is? How does Slaanesh work in Age of Sigmar? I know it was a little tangent, but the Eldar made him in 40k. How did he come to be a thing in Sigmar?
Like, that's a whole big thing because you got to go back to fantasy. We actually did a podcast maybe 2 weeks ago on it. That's a whole big tangent, man, because he appears, he doesn't, he gets... Man, it's not AOS.
It's not AOS.
This ain't AOS podcast. Come on.
True. I don't know if it was a quick answer or not.
No, unfortunately,
I wish I had a quick answer for you. Yeah, I play AOS. I love AOS, but like with Slaanesh stuff, it's different. It feels more to me, at least, like, just quickly. Like, I think coming from like AOS players exclusively and not Warhammer Fantasy stuff, like, you just kind of know that Khorne, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Nurgle, like, they're just there. Like, you don't really know backstories. It's just like, nope, they're there. They exist.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on in that setting. It gets interesting, some of it for sure, but yeah. So, the birth of Slaanesh caused a pretty big impact on the galaxy. It affected the Eldari Empire, and now is kind of affecting many things, corrupting many imperial planets over 10,000 years. Many have fallen. Do you think Slaanesh is simply just like the god of indulgence, or does his influence extend further? Like, is there a little bit trickery in the power he draws from, you think?
Kind of. He is interesting because I think he's the only chaos. Well, Nurgle is rebirth, but he's kind of the only chaos god that has the potential to be helpful and inspirational. But it's kind of that like a drug. You start with one thing and it's beautiful, and then you want more. So you make something else, and now you want more. You want more and more and more. So you keep going, and then you get to certain points where what you did before isn't enough. So now we have to go out of the thing. Let's paint with our blood. Oh, this isn't enough anymore. Let's use people in part of our statue. Oh, this isn't enough anymore. Let's make a crater full of people for a living exhibit or something. Like, it just gets more insane, and you don't notice it because you're just pursuing the art and the beauty and the fullness. But it's not that anymore. It's gone beyond that. It's a twisted version of what it was.
I think to address it more, like talking about the trickery vibe, like we all know Tzeentch as being like the chaos god of deception and trickery and things like that. But I think they all have that as well. Like Logan's saying, like there is trickery in there, and especially embodied with the demonic sword that Fulgrim was, listening to as if it was ASMR and he was trying to sleep. He's just like, that's a deceit. There is trickery, and it is the Slaanesh is playing into the good parts of you, but as well the bad, and just like every one of the chaos gods does, it's like Khorne, you have honor, cool, but can you honorably take that dude's head off and just drink his blood, because that would be rad. Yes. Yeah, he deserves it. Oh, okay, cool. So I think there is trickery in what Slaanesh does. Slaanesh is not closely tied to it, but there is for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like seduction and trickery.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
like it seduces you into doing worse and worse things to continue to please it and get your pleasure.
Man, I'm right now re-listening to Mark Lanigan's memoirs. Mark Lanigan was a famous musician and singer for Screaming Trees and Queens of the Stone Age and a bunch of solo projects, but I've listened to his audiobook before, and I'm listening to it again, and it's fucking depressing as shit, because he was a junkie and he was like a dope fiend, and he just the depravity there. And now, like, talking about Slaanesh, it's like, wow, if you listen to that and then he just goes along with it, like, I went out, needed to get well, needed a fix, needed my needle and this and that, and it's like, holy shit, dude, like you went from this much to this much to this much to more and needing more and more, and to where like his veins were closing up, like he couldn't find a solid vein to shoot up with. And now we're in the dark part of the episode, folks, so put the kids away and here we go, we're in it now.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, that's the story of the Emperor's Children, these small incremental increases of just depravity until they've gone totally over the top, where they're sewing their eyeballs open so they can see everything and never blink, to just whatever kind of wacky things they can really just amp up their sensations.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I just thought of, because you were saying that, is a lot of stuff in 40K is like a parody of extreme fascism, etc., xenophobia, etc., etc. What if Slaanesh was meant to be that, just a parody of addiction, that it starts this way, but like, oh, here's how much it could get worse if you were superhuman.
Yeah,
I could see
and
that.
then there could be like the parody of violence is Khorne, where he's just screaming about taking skulls and blood, where it's just I could see some of that for sure.
Yeah. This is a joke, but Tzeentch is a parody of blue magic players, because they think they're so clever all the time.
Yeah. Oh, we've known that for a while, like at the table. Like, yeah.
And there's the first nerding. Is that what we call it?
There it is.
Yeah,
we
level
just
1.
double nerded. First one.
Hang
Double
on.
nerd.
I'm drinking out of a Transformers
Right on
cup,
track.
so There's double.
Triple nerding. We're counting it. Rack them up, rack them up. If we get to 39, I'm giving away free TTS copies. Woo! All right, let's jump on to Slaanesh's philosophies and methods.
Yes. All right. So, Slaanesh revels in sensations and emotions, drawing joy from even the most fleeting pleasures, whether it's the pride of a victorious commodore, the rush of relief after a soldier's survival, or the beauty of a lover's embrace. Yet these small joys are mere whispers to the master of excess, who craves far grander experiences. Every moment is an opportunity to push the boundaries of sensation, from the agony of a chainsword blow to the bittersweet notes of an unheard scream echoing across the battlefield. In the glittering palace of the Dark Prince's realm, Slaanesh orchestrates a symphony of indulgence, urging mortals to reach new heights of excess. No star, planet, or even reality itself is beyond its grasp. To Slaanesh, existence is a plaything to be bent and twisted, a canvas for the creation of unimaginable delights. It's like a really fucked up Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I'm getting. I don't know why.
I was thinking.
I like it.
I wish that like the big Slaanesh model, the Dark Prince or whatever it's called, I wish it was more dragon-like, because this really reads like you're chasing the dragon all the time with Slaanesh.
Ooh, yeah. Chasing the
Dude,
dragon, riding the white pony, all of it.
It could maybe be like a centaur dragon, just a weird long tail body, maybe.
Yeah,
go.
they normally go more
Yeah,
serpenty,
yeah.
but that would be
Yeah.
cool. Which so you remember how we were talking about the new Fulgrim model?
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of people asking, how does it fly? Because he's got the wings on his back. Does he fly with his tail hanging down, or does he fly with his tail floating backwards? And I saw someone take the gif of the snake from Robin Hood, the Disney Robin Hood with the fox,
Yeah.
where he's in the balloon and he's spinning his tail. Everyone's like, this is how I think Fulgrim flies. I'm like, oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
That's how he flies.
Yeah.
Man.
There's no
Anyways.
other way.
No,
There's no
that's
other
it.
way.
That's it.
Yeah,
That is
that's
canon.
It's a 40K is a parody, therefore they're parodying how a snake creature will fly.
Yeah. When you move that Fulgrim across the battlefield, you have to do the noise too, like.
Yeah, not explain why though. Just
No, that's it. Its influence reaches far beyond mortal comprehension, driving its followers to emulate its endless pursuit of perfection and corruption. Those who serve Slaanesh take this pursuit to heart, crafting experiences that defy the imagination. For some, this means creating masterful works of art, so profound they bring all who witness them to tears. For others, it involves unimaginable acts of devastation, entire squads of space marines annihilated under the fire of a subjugator chaos titan, or entire worlds reduced to dripping silence by nucleic acid bombs. These moments of excess, however fleeting, are the closest mortals can come to the perfection that defines their god. In the realm of chaos, where the impossible becomes possible, Slaanesh's desires are unbound. Mortals may lack the vision to achieve the greatest excess in the material world, but in the Dark Prince's realm, no sensation is too grand, no indulgence too depraved. It is there that Slaanesh's influence reaches its apex, creating a legacy of beauty, pride, and corruption that ripples across the galaxy. Oh, man. Okay, I'm just going to throw this question out here. In your personal journey through the palace, what music is playing?
Oh man, I'm going hard with rap music. Just
okay.
yeah. I
I'm-
listen to a lot of rap, so
I'm going
talking black people on the side. It's a good time.
Just
Sell
hyping
me
you up.
drugs and yeah.
I'm going
Well,
more classical, like Carmina Burana is playing,
Oh,
elegant. Okay.
because that's it's elegant, but it can be super excessive and really beautiful when
Yeah,
hyped up.
yeah.
Hmm.
So no one's doing eternal dubstep or what?
Nah.
Some haters.
Court's a big dubstep fan, if you can't tell.
No. Don't let the Akai NPC in the corner fool you. So no.
He's actually a
interesting.
dubstep DJ, and he hides it from us.
Shut your mouth. It's not true. You're the father of lies.
He's only doing that while he's going through college. It's not a career thing.
I'm
It's not
telling myself it's for education. Oh man.
We've all had a dark dubstep phase. It's okay. You can admit it.
No, we all have not. I'm sorry. That's not true. Don't drag me into this. It's bullshit.
Only one of us has.
Yeah.
Okay, so there
man.
are 2 liars on this call right now. Good to know.
I kind of think that I mean there's gonna be a lot of different music that's gonna be played, but I feel like, and I hope that this is okay because he has passed on, but like I kind of think Prince is going to be played in the palace. Like I feel like some of Purple Rain,
Just screens everywhere of him
just
dancing.
like, you're gonna hear just a little, little Prince sounds kind of coming around. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Now I'm wondering, when
That's
was
not bad.
Slaanesh made? Because I wonder if he was inspired by Prince at all.
30K. Oh, you mean like I was like, we just fucking covered this.
We just
like
went
does that? I understand what you said now.
Were you not paying attention? Do we need to have a test at the end of this? Making sure you're taking it serious.
All right. Warhammer
35-year-old concept, really. Like, since fantasy way back in the day, 35 years pretty much.
35 years. All right. First.
Yeah, Prince was huge for the past 40 years or 35. So yeah.
His first album looks like it was the late 1970s.
Yeah, there you go.
So maybe Slaanesh was kind of inspired by Prince's aesthetic.
I don't know that. As much of a Prince fan as I am, I feel like that's just an interesting stretch. But
we don't like it. We hate it. It's not happening.
Not canon. Not canon.
Not canon. I've brought out the gavel. Warhammer legal declared.
So let me ask you guys then also, how we talk about like the paintings of the poop paintings, the murders and stuff like that, but like how else would mortals emulate like Slaanesh's pursuit of excess? And maybe not even just like we see it with Space Marines, like they would kill and do crazy things, but like how does like a cultist, like a follower of Slaanesh, also like emulate the pursuit of excess?
Yeah, like for me personally, I do Lorehammer 3 times a week, and if that's not excessive, I don't know what is. I'm well on the path of excess there. But yeah, cultists, man, they could just do gluttony. That could very easily be one where it's not violent at all. In fact, it's the hardest working agri world on the far side of the Imperium because they know crops have to be due so they can throw a grand feast at the end of every season. So they work hard, excessively hard, and it's not violent, right? And they get their feast, and once again, not violent.
Yeah.
They could also just be very hedonistic with each other.
Yeah, but I think even the simplicity, like Mark was suggesting, is almost like like workaholics. Like you need it. Just like
like
workaholic could be Slaanesh.
Maybe this isn't the best comparison, but yeah, you're saying workaholic, alcoholic, name any of the holics. They all fall into this territory of what takes you over the line of becoming, well, I just drink on the weekend too. You're an alcoholic. Well, now you're in the Slaanesh territory.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now picturing someone who like obsessively buys and read books, like they read a new book every other day or something crazy like that. That feels very Slaanesh.
That's its own trap. Yeah, man, exactly.
I think too that it's important to have the distinction of like, because the argument can be made like, okay, well, if I am a Space Marine and I lop the heads off of like a whole, company or something like that, and I'm like, that's excess, right? Well, yeah, but that's also like Korn's vibe. So where's the line? So I think wait. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Anyway, I want to hear what you say, but I think the distinction is that the pursuit of these things is almost out of perfection and out of a sense of like need fulfilling desire. So like going on a battlefield, like murdering a ton of your enemies and stuff, like Yeah, I think that definitely serves Khorne because he does not care from where the blood flows, of course. But if you're doing it in a sense of like, it is beautiful and grand, and it sings, the blood flies across the sword, and it makes this majestic, there's almost more of an artistic thing to it. I think that might be the line. I don't know. Logan, you were jumping in.
Yeah.
I was, because my point's not the same, but it's adjacent. I think the differentiation is if you get joy from what you're doing from it. Because the sword masters that the no, because the sword masters of the Emperor Children, they were perfect, but they loved the duel. That was what they wanted to do. They wanted the duel. That was the glory of it, was the joy of dueling. If you're a space marine killing a bunch of people, it's your duty. You're not getting joy out of it. You might get a little, but it's not your thing. Whereas the Emperor's Children are we're excited that we get to do this.
Yeah.
We take joy from the pain we inflict on others.
And if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So there you go.
And ain't that what it's all about ultimately?
Mark's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that murder, like the joy, I don't know if I fully agree with that, because if you torture somebody that excessively can go to Slaanesh too. Those sensations, which are not joyful sensations, are feeding Slaanesh. So it's one of those things where that line is not a straight line. It bobs and weaves a couple times, does a spiral once or twice. It's not clear. It's not tangible.
Well, maybe it's not definitive either, where it's like, okay, so say, and we don't have to go too far into this, but like say Chaos Space Marine cuts the head off of like a custody or something, which is justified because they're dumb. So
true.
That murder, like, let's just picture it as like some essence or chaos, like warp vibe goes to Khorne. He is fed by that because it is death and murder and blood, right? Some of it, maybe it was backstabbing. He got him in the back or snuck up on him. That part a little bit goes to Tzeentch, just a touch. A little bit more was, Khorne than Tzeentch. And the pleasure that the Chaos Space Marine feels, then a little bit of that goes to Slaanesh. And if he farted in the process, that part goes to Nurgle. So if you view it like little colors, beautiful colors coming out of this murderous scene that just dissipate into the warp. And a lot of it goes here, some of it goes here. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm now picturing a business meeting where all the greater demons are in suits and stuff, and they're like, okay, we're about to have this big battle. And the Khorne's guy's like, I want 80% of the stuff we get out of this. And Slaanesh are like, no, these are my people. You can get 40 best. And the Tzeentch guy's like, but this was all my plan. I get all of it.
That's almost like how the Dark Forge and Vashtar worked when they're selling out the soul grinders. They're bargaining for all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's right.
Bring me enough tanks and I'll give you more power.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So let's jump into carry on, I think. Reading? No, we did that. Let's jump on to the history of the Emperor's Children. I think that's a pretty good recap of Slaanesh. Let's go to history. So where we left them last was the Battle of Thessalassa, and this is the battle where the Ultramarines and the Emperor Children, they fight each other. And at this point, Fulgrim is in his full demon form. He's a big old demon lord now, and he goes against Reboot Gilliman and cuts him down with the poisonous blade. And Reboot Gilliman gets locked away in stasis for 10,000 years, and that's kind of where we left off with the story.
All right, so now we're going into the Legion Wars. After their crushing defeat at the Siege of Terra, the Emperor's Children fled into the Eye of Terror, leaving a trail of depopulated worlds. Without the guiding hand of Horus, they descended into madness and chaos, driven by their insatiable hunger for excess. As their supply of slaves and victims dwindled, they resorted to raiding even their traitor Legion brethren, triggering the bloody slave wars that further fractured the once mighty Third Legion. Among their many schemes was Fabius Bile's grotesque attempt to clone Horus and restore the traitor Legion's unity. This plan ultimately backfired, drawing the ire of Ezekiel Abaddon, In a devastating assault, Abaddon hurled a derelict Thousand Suns vessel into Harmony, the Emperor's Children throne world, annihilating it in a single apocalyptic strike, resulting in carnage, shattering the remnants of their unity. Abaddon confronted the cloned War Master and slew him with the talons of Horus, declaring himself Horus's rightful successor and establishing the Black Legion. In the aftermath, the Emperor's Children splintered into competing warbands, each pursuing its own depraved goals. Their numbers remain small in the 41st millennia, but their presence is no less feared. To fall into the hands of these Slaanesh fanatics is to suffer a fate worse than death, surpassed only by the horrors inflicted by the Drukhari. Man, that's interesting to see, like, to hear about that. And then they're because I talked about it before, the Lucius the Eternal short episode they have on what's it called, Warhammer Plus, where they capture a noise marine, the Space Marines do, and they're trying to deal with them. And Lucius, one Terminator, and one Noise Marine go to rescue the other Noise Marine. And it's just funny seeing them interact with each other, because they clearly have one goal, but they're not very unified in how they should be doing it. And Lucius just ends up telling them, okay, I'm doing this now. You guys go hide.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Legion Wars is crazy, because I'm glad that's what you said, because that's basically the summary of the Legion Wars. The Legion shatters. It's no longer able to stay focused. You will find war bands of the Emperor's Children. They're probably not still calling themselves that. They probably have their own warband title, but the Legion fractures. But that's a crazy story where we should do an episode one day, because we're talking about clones that Fabius Bile makes, and we'll touch on them a little bit later too. But there's all types of crazy things in there.
Yeah, that'd actually be a really interesting, like, sub episode line where we just watch and review something from Warhammer Plus.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, maybe if you join Patreon, that might happen. Shameless plug.
We'll never tell. No.
Yeah. Little After Dark episode or something.
Yeah. But no, it's cool. I know a lot of people don't like him. I love Fabius Bile as a character. He's just so crazy and so fun with the stuff that he does.
So I did not know that he cloned Horus. That's like a big thing. And then I didn't know Abaddon fucking murked him.
Yeah, man.
Like,
the Legion Wars is crazy. And we're about to talk about Fabius Bile and everything he clones. He clones a bunch of Primarchs, a bunch of people, a whole bunch of everything. I got a message about Eidolon, and they're like, oh, what's the deal? One episode you say he's alive, the next one, and at the end he's dead, and the next episode he's alive again. Well, Fabius Bile can make clones.
Yeah.
He's also one of the really cool characters, because he was the last remaining apothecary when they rebuilt the Emperor's Children. And now he's still alive in 40K, being weird and doing whatever he wants.
Like, even with warp weirdness, like, he's an old Astartes, like, long war.
People always say Dante's the oldest one, but it's like Fabius Biles were right there.
I think oldest loyalist is what they mean by that, but
I'm tired.
I thought you were an Imperium fanboy.
Right, dude, I love the Emperor's Children, so I'm on their side tonight. I'm tired of this Imperial propaganda on this podcast.
Tell me how many drugs I can stuff up my butt. I'm tired of it.
Not where we were going, but okay.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about Fabius Bile. It's interesting that we can't talk about the Emperor's Children without specifically talking about Fabius Bile. We talked about how the Emperor's Children is now Fractured Legion, and with their gene seed, it's also pretty fucked up. Like, we'll talk later about their gene seed and how it's pretty much not usable anymore. So the Legion itself pretty much relies on Fabius Bile to keep it going, and without him, it would be dead. They would be forced to just taking Imperial Fist gene seed, painting the armor pink, and pretending that it's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
he's
one
keeping
man.
it. He's keeping it alive in the grossest way possible.
Yeah. Fabius Bile, the self-styled progenitor, is a grotesque architect of flesh, a paragon of corruption, and an unrepentant seeker of perfection. Once the chief apothecary of the Emperor's children, his fall was not merely into the clutches of chaos, but into the deeper abyss of his own making, a pit carved from his insatiable hunger to perfect all to life, or to perfect all life. To Fabius, the mortal form is a canvas, and he, its deranged artist, endlessly crafting, sculpting, and mutilating in a pursuit of an ideal that defies reason and morality. He does not serve Slaanesh as do his peers. Instead, he uses the Dark Prince's gifts as tools, bending the chaotic power of the warp to fuel his aberrant experiments. We're talking about Khorne doesn't care. That's that famous line where the blood flows. And I'm going to tell this to Fabius Bile. Slaanesh doesn't care where you think your intentions are, but he's feeding on you, buddy. Like, he's lying to you, and he's trying to lie to me, but he's not lying to Slaanesh.
I don't know if we're going to get to it or not, but I do remember there was a story where he literally meets the greater demon of Slaanesh, and he's just like, "You're not real," and just moved on with his life. Like, he's that committed to science and denying it that he'll see it and just go, "Nah."
Yeah. Well, maybe he has no emotions, and then that would be how he denies himself from it. But man, I still think the person he's torturing and manipulating and flesh working is doing something and affecting the warp. So,
although he has to have some sense of emotions in this because he is tainted by the warp, and that's what's like, something has to have some hold,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm calling shenanigans.
And
Well, he's also unique because, like in the current rule set with the tabletop, he's not in the Emperor's Children Index. He's in the Chaos Space Marine things. And I think he's actually marked as Chaos Undivided. So despite his Legion being Slaaneshi, I don't think he himself follows Slaanesh. I think he's truly Chaos Undivided. He just does it for doing its sake.
that's how I've always viewed it. Like, I know he's a little more tied with Slaanesh, but like I've always viewed him as just being like, yeah, he's just fucked up chaos. There it is.
Yeah, no, and like you can self-identify as Chaos Undivided and proclaim that's what you are, but at the end of the day, man, if you're doing these warp-fueled acts, the warp is still going to get fueled by them, whether you think you're identifying as something else.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
he's very interesting because he's the hope of the Legion who is very excessive. Well, he himself is not very excessive. Like, yeah, he is, but like that's not his goal. It's like it's a different kind of goal. Bios Laboratories.
Oh, I was gonna say he's excessively scientific. So
Yeah,
that's
there we
what I could
go.
tie in back. He only cares about his experiments.
Excessively scientific. Nerd. Fucking nerd.
Bigger nerd than Call. Changed my mind.
Yeah. Fabius Bile's laboratories, vast vile fleshworks hidden across the galaxy, are places where the sanctity of biology is not just ignored, but utterly desecrated. Here, he creates new horrors, stitching together flesh and bone, splicing genes stolen from every corner of the galaxy. In his hands, Space Marine physiology is broken down, twisted, and reassembled into grotesque parodies of life. These abominations, whether perfected warriors or writhing failures, are both a testament and a warning to his peers in the lengths he will go in his obsessive crusade for genetic mastery.
First off, the term fleshworks, we're just gonna read that. Just walk right by it, like without.
No. Is that another band name or what?
I was gonna say it sounds like the worst gym you'd ever want to have a membership to.
Oh.
I think
What if
what's
it's a
cool
gay
here
bar?
too. Hey, it works. Flesh works. I think what's neat here is that he has all of these spots hidden across the galaxy. It's very, I mean, it serves a purpose because like you don't want to have just one central location, but it's also just super secretive, very, I don't know. It kind of feels
classic
junky.
nefarious villain.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nefarious villain. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, he's got the secret lair, but he's got a bunch of them, and you
Yeah.
don't know where. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to track. I think that's pretty cool. So
You go through his lair and you're fighting these weird creatures that are guarding it, only to get to the end and you fight him, but at the last moment he escapes because a new abomination is unleashed. And then you do that, mix and repeat over and over with Fabius Bile in each fortress he has.
yeah.
I wonder how many clones of himself he has running around.
Ooh.
Or
yeah,
if the
that'd
real
be
one
great.
is even alive anymore.
Yeah, like there's no way he hasn't cloned himself, for sure.
That would be a really cool plot twist down the road that they capture or kill him, and it's like, haha, you're wrong. And then he has a Chaos Primaris army just hiding somewhere ready to go.
Of all
That's
him.
wild. That's like, it
That's fun.
reminds me a lot of the Prestige, the
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan
classic
film.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of that. That's neat.
That
The
movie
one
was
thing
crazy.
about clones in 40K is they do seem to be affected by bad luck. So, whether they die right away or suffer some type of weird thing, there seems to be some type of bad luck attached to them. So that kind of limits what clones can get up to some degree, but also not limiting.
Yeah.
One of his nicknames.
Vague enough.
Yeah, that could be because they don't want clones of things doing stuff in the lore, so they always kill them off. Just like, oh, that was a cool narrative thing, it's dead. But I feel like the clone
Yeah.
master could have clones of himself being helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly like, how do you measure luck? You just are like, well, just won again, or you killed him again, or whatever. So
Yeah,
unlucky
like
this time. Yeah.
the avatar of Cain is the most unlucky thing in the universe because it just
Oh,
gets
God,
donkey
yeah.
punched by everything and everyone. But it's
Well,
super
Swarm
strong.
Lord. Swarm
True.
Lord also.
Swarm Lord
pretty,
also. Yeah. Horrifying
man.
creature of deep space, and it's like, no, I killed another Swarm Lord. Look at me, I'm great at this game.
On the flip
I'm
side,
so
it's
good at this
extremely
game.
lucky that it gets reincarnated basically every time. So
And the final character like this too is Lucius Eternal, where he was kind of used as a benchmark of that good swordsman, even though he was supposed to be one of the best. But he
mhm.
gets beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Well, he lets himself lose a lot too. Like in the no, he does in the
He likes it. He gets off to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pin him down.
Not that, but like he's trying to infiltrate an Imperial fortress and he can't get in. So he goes and picks a fight with a young, arrogant chaplain or something. So the chaplain will kill him, and he knows, I'm going to take over this chaplain's body and I will be in there by tonight. Like, it's a strategy for him because he knows he regenerates.
Okay. All right. You said take over his body, and then you said I will be in there by tonight. And I just, as the Slaanesh part of my mind, melted those things together. And I'm like, all right, we're moving on. Oh,
You're gross.
God.
I'm talking about possession and becoming alive again. You're gross, Gort.
Fabius does not merely seek to recreate the superhuman perfection of the Adeptus Astartes. He seeks to surpass it. To him, the Emperor's genetic handiwork is flawed, limited by the dogma of the stagnant Imperium. The ideals of loyalty, honor, and restraint are chains to be broken, and Bile's vision of perfection is one of unshackled by ethics and consequences. His creations, whether they are his new men, grotesque clones, or redefined super soldiers, embody this vision, horrifying yet undeniably effective, elegant in their monstrous excess. Bile's corruption is most evident in his greatest act of defiance, the theft and desecration of Horus's corpse. While others saw the War Master's death as an end of the heresy's dream, Bile saw it as an opportunity. By cloning Horus, he sought to reignite the traitor legions under a leader reborn. Yet even in this, his ego triumphed. The clone was not just a copy, but a vessel for Bile's improvements, a symbol of his belief that he could not even exceed even the Emperor's greatest work. Only Kull can do that, by the way. This arrogance, however, brought this about his downfall as Abaddon destroyed this clone, shattered Bile's ambitions, and declared himself War Master. Despite this defeat, Fabius thrives. He's thriving. He's in his thriving era.
Living his best life.
I think instead of painting his cloak with leather stuff, people should paint it like all frilly and stuff and flowers. He's out there thriving.
Bejeweled.
Yeah, Bejeweled, just thriving.
He is a wanderer now, a figure of both revulsion and necessity to Chaos Warbands. His expertise makes him invaluable, even to those who despise him. Invaluable. They come to him for his dark gifts, and though they sneer at his methods, they cannot deny his results. Bile always extracts his price, genetic material, rare specimens, or sometimes the very subjects of his cruel experiments. Ultimately, Bile is a figure of excess taken to its logical extreme. He is the embodiment of Slaanesh's ideals without the worship, a creature driven not by a desire to serve, but by the need to master. His work is never done, for perfection is a goal that it always dances just out of reach. And so, Bile toils endlessly, stitching together flesh, weaving nightmares of sinew and bone, and proving that in his hands, corruption and creation are but two sides of the same coin. His legacy is not just one of horror, but of warning, a reminder of what happens when the pursuit of perfection is left unchecked, unmoored from morality, and driven to its most excessive, grotesque conclusion. Yeah, it's crazy. So he not only keeps the Emperor Children's kind of war bands alive and thriving, he hires his services out to other war bands, other legions and stuff. So he's keeping many factions of chaos up and running. This grand geneticist.
And kind of like you said before, like he's not dedicated to one, because to dedicate yourself to one would be to pigeonhole yourself and isn't scientific enough. You're limiting your data horizon. Like you're limiting the amount of information you can learn from.
Yeah, this is like the super nerds where they're like, I want to be good at stealth warfare, so I'm going to have Raven Guard Gene Seed, and I also want to be good at siegecraft, so it's also going to be mixed with Porter Albo's Gene Seed.
Yeah.
And you're like, listen here, bud, you're not just the best at everything.
Yeah.
That's the Dark Angels.
Ha! I don't know, because we've read arrogance a lot in what we've been reading. Do we feel that the other chaos gods, I know they can have elements of arrogance, but do we feel that's a defining trait of the other gods, or is that more of a Slaanesh one?
I think it's more of a Slaanesh thing.
Yeah, because Khorne doesn't feel like you could be arrogant in your fight, but you're more angry.
I actually think Khorne, especially older versions of Khorne, don't like arrogance. Like it's about martial discipline, and honor duels are very common, and being arrogant I don't think comes off well in that kind of vibe. There's also bloodthirsty, but also there's that other little aspect. So
yeah, I think more importantly was so Fabius Bile, was his original name Fabulous Kyle, and it just wasn't chaos enough. And then like when he fell, he's like, I can't be Fabulous Kyle. It sounds too
Kyle,
nice.
it's a great name.
No, it's not good. I can't do. You know what? Bile, that's pretty sick. We'll go with that. Fabulous Bile. And they're like, okay, Fab. And they're like, I can't do that either. Fine. Fabius. Like
Fabius.
Hang on. What? Like, why would you name any sort of space marine Fabius Bile and think that this guy is going to be good? Like,
why would you
such
name
a villain name?
So is Horus.
We have Mr. Bile. No, that's a sweet badass name, Mr. Bile. Why did you sew these two people together?
Yeah.
When you said Fabius the way you did a minute ago, it made me think of Phineas and Ferb. Like someone just running, Mom, Fabius is experimenting again.
Yeah,
just stitching people together.
Just in the way. Oh man. Yeah. Well, some more about our
talk about some of those.
Yeah, some more of our Fabulous Kyle's projects. I think this is where it gets really interesting too, because you get a little bit of a taste of like all the different things he's been up to, which is cool. So, cloning and the Primarch project, Fabius Bile claims to have unraveled the secrets of the Emperor's greatest creations, the Primarchs. Leveraging stolen Raven Guard genetic research, like you said before, and other forbidden knowledge, he has created clones of all 20 Primarchs, Among his more infamous creations are Ferrus Manus, a matured clone of the Gorgon himself, though the exact details of his fate remain vague. Fulgrim, a clone version of the Phoenician. I think a lot of people call him like Clone Grim. I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Excuse me.
No, that's a non-canon canon name for him when you're
Yeah.
talking about that
Yeah,
character.
Clone Grim. Likely it was made in an attempt to recreate or manipulate his former master. So like almost like I would say that's almost a form of praise and worship. Slaanesh right there too. If he's creating Fulgrim as a clone. Yeah.
A more perfect Fulgrim.
Yeah, improvement. Yeah. He cloned Horus, as we said before, the clone of the War Master himself, demonstrating Bile's audacity and mastery over genecraft, which I think with Horus specifically is a big notch in his weird scientific belt. So then we go into some more twisted creations. Fabius's experiments on.
Just before we go into those ones,
what do you got?
What do you kind of think about? You know, there's a couple loyalist Primarchs are dead, and we always talk about how do they come back if they're dead. Well, this is definitely one of these ways where Fabius Bile all of a sudden could make a clone of Sanguinius. Now
Chaos
what happens?
Sanguinius confirmed.
Not even chaos. So what if it's just like an accident and like it's or like you can't turn chaos Sanguinius or it escapes or whatever. It remains loyal and breaks free, returns to the Blood Angels. How would they react?
Horror.
What
I think
the
it'd be a
fuck
mix
is
of
that?
horror
Shoot
and
it.
joy. What is that?
Horror
Shoot
and
it?
joy.
I don't
Like
know.
it's not a warp creature, you know, it's not going and smashing things like it is Sanguinius, you know, it's a clone of Sanguinius. So
But they know it's a clone, so therefore it's heresy.
Is it though?
yeah, but
cloning
yeah,
heresy?
that's exactly it. Cloning isn't necessarily heresy. Now, maybe doing it to a Primarch would be for sure, but like, yeah, maybe also not.
Would not Dante weep at the sight of his reborn Primarch?
Yeah.
Court doesn't like it.
I don't like it because then you just haven't. No, because then they're like Mark always says, like when you're dead, you're dead. There's no coming
You're
back.
dead.
Like
Sucks to
you're
suck.
dead. Sorry.
Rip,
Game over, man.
elbows,
Game over.
Go to lobby.
Yeah. It's an easy. The cloning thing is such an easy like reset button, and
Sure.
I think if you do it in a way that is interesting to serve the story, like if they did that, so say they did that with Sanguinius, and then this one came back and he like called himself like Stanguinius or like I don't know Spamguinius, you know, I don't know. And if the Blood Angels saw that, and maybe some of them were like, "Yay, this is good," and some were like, "No, fuck that, tear its wings off and kill it." I think that serves an interesting part of the story because there's not a this is the answer. Yay, it's good. Oh, yes, awesome. Like we've got our Primarch back. That's fantastic.
Ooh.
I think it brings if it drives a narrative that brings conflict and maybe they go, no, we're going to, for lack of a better term, crucify this thing. And then I don't know. I think it would be cool to see it divide a chapter.
It would
and
be
not just have it be
super cool.
accepted.
It would be super cool, inspired by what you said, if the actual Blood Angels chapter with Dante and everyone who actually knew Sanguinius were like, he's back, let's go. But all the sub chapters were like, he's not back, let's go. And now the 1,000 real Blood Angels are fighting the sub chapters to keep Sanguinius alive. I think that would be super cool and fun to see.
Yeah. I definitely think there'd be some that accept it, you know. All the chapters so easily accepted Primaris Marines. You're telling me they're not going to accept their beloved Primarch back?
Not all of them.
The Ultramarines even themselves killed their own Primarch to resurrect them through Xenos means.
Yeah.
And that wasn't heresy. So maybe heresy isn't everything. Maybe it's not all around us.
Court is the Imperial fanboy in this episode, and I'm living for it.
It's weird. I know.
This is
how the
great.
turntables.
All right, what other creatures do we got from Fabius Bile?
So we got some twisted creations here. Fabius's experiments on others yield varying results, often combining genius with monstrous outcomes and genius outcomes. So the Tirada, superhuman killers created through extreme gene manipulation. Their psychotic nature and instability make them unpredictable assets in battle. Tirada. Primaris captives. Fabius Bile is fixated on dissecting and studying Primaris space marines, aiming to create his own corrupted equivalents infused with chaos.
Oh man, what a whole fucking can of worms that creates for chaos. Not having Primaris.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be funny. Are they going to make the firstborn Chaos Marines go through the Chaos Rubicon to become Chaos Primaris Marines?
Yeah, in 10 years we get that model launch. Yeah, fuck.
Is it
just
realistic to think that he hasn't cracked that though? Like,
that's the whole thing, man. Every time you talk about Primaris, you're just like, it just leads to another issue. So yeah, like this is the supreme geneticist of the galaxy since the time of the Horus Heresy. When he can't figure out how to put the sinew coils in, can't figure out how to put in the Belisarius furnace. He can't figure that one out. Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't make sense.
Not to be, well, what if it's like, because he's been studying chaos and the effects on the firstborn for so long, and these Primaris are, lack of a better term, better versions of the firstborn Marines. What if he just hasn't had enough time to figure out how to fuse it with his chaosy stuff?
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
just
someone
feel
switching
like
to a new operating system. Like it's close.
He's the guy who's
The pieces are there, but you don't know how to do things because it's a new operating system.
Yeah, but he's also the guy who's cutting out people's vocal cords and then replacing it with like dubstep speakers. Blah, 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 and that's all they do. Like,
that's
he's doing all types of experiments. Like, you know, he's been adding to the gene seed. For him not to be able to crack these 3 Primaris gene seed that are so, what are they again? I'm gonna look. It's the coils, the furnace, and one other one. Okay, we're getting closer. Don't worry, we're getting. I think it's called Magnifant or Magnicant, which just increases the body's growth and makes them stronger.
Well, there it is. That's the problem. He Magna can't. He needs to Magna can.
Oh! Gotcha. Oh, you totally served.
Got him.
Gotcha, bitch.
Guys, I'm fucking trying. Yeah. I just Magna can't.
Yeah. It just seems like so strange. You can't crack that, man. And now we got these Primaris or Chaos Marines in this weird limbo state.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was
going to say being chaos infused, they kind of already were better than their firstborn counterparts.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that, for sure.
And they have refreshed the range already to be similar in size to the Primaris. So I don't know if it's so much as that he hasn't cracked the code yet. It's just they don't have a purpose for Chaos Primaris yet. Like there's no reason to have them, if that makes sense.
There was no reason for the Imperium to have them either. But now that they're here, you still want the best of the best, man.
No, I'm not thinking in lore. I'm thinking like marketing wise. There's no reason to introduce Chaos Primaris because you don't need them. You can refresh the current range and get what you need.
You mean like what they should have done in the first place?
I mean, yeah, but
yeah.
They can trademark other stuff. They can't trademark Space Marine.
Yeah, whoopsie. Oh man. All right, so moving into some more specialized abominations here. Specialized abominations. Bile's long career has produced a variety of specialized beings tailored for warfare and other purposes. The cacophony, which we talked about in our previous episode, spelt with a K, so it's Kakophony, ONI, cacophony. The first noise marines. Hell yes. Noise marines. Created through blending genetic tampering and demonic influence. Just good time all around. Then we go to the gland hounds. Partial gene seed implantation turned these creations into pack hunters specialized in retrieving space marine gene seed. The grossest pets you would ever have.
Yeah. But he can't make Primaris Marines, but he can make these guys. Come on.
Calls technology. It's so advanced. No one
the best
understands.
technology.
There it
It's the
is.
best technology. Fabius doesn't understand. I talked to Fabius. He says, I don't get it. Calls a genius. We all know this.
We all know it.
That was good. That was spot on. Oh,
Yeah, I like
man.
it.
Yeah, things like this, it just, I don't know. I'm going to canonically say he just doesn't fucking want to. And just say, I
Hey,
don't
man,
give a shit. I'm doing my own thing.
I'll take it. Yeah. Fuck your
Yeah.
creation. I got my creation. Oh,
Yeah.
you've been working on something
Why-
for 10,000 years? Me too.
Yeah, and I think, excuse me, if we're bringing Slaanesh into this, Slaanesh is about perfection and excess, and we all know that, and the craft and artistry. A scientist that's just going to copy his rival isn't perfecting, isn't creating, isn't achieving. He's just copy pasting. So he looks at it as going, that's just fucking AI, man. I don't want that. I'm going to actually create my own stuff. So he's the more organic dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it. I just think that he doesn't want to fucking do it. He wants to create his own thing.
I like
So,
that. That's the best answer, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. New men. So representing the pinnacle of his craft, these beings, known as the new men, combine superior strength and intelligence with the worst aspects of humanity. I feel like I've known a few of these guys. Yeah.
So not Primaris. These are Negan Maris.
Yeah. That's interesting too. Like, so with like the new men, where does that scale on normal, like Space Marine, what a Thunder Warrior would be, Primaris? Like, how would you even rank these?
That's such a hard answer, but I always feel like when I read it on like Reddit and stuff, they always give new men to be stronger than Space Marines, but just by a little bit. So maybe, they're
okay.
closer to that. Like, because they're supposed to be an improvement on the Astartes. They're supposed to just be that little bit better. Fabius's creation. So his pinnacle, his crowning achievement.
Right. Okay. Then we've got the Vatborn, initially developed in vats, but later capable of reproduction. These beings serve as a testament to Bile's ability to evolve his creations. Melusine, the most advanced of the Vatborn, crafted from multiple genetic templates and foundational to later experiments. Thralls, bone-crafted servitors acting as a mixture of human, mutant, and neverborn. Then we jump into psyker manipulations. So Fabius has delved into the creation of psykers, introducing genetic defects to foster psychic potential. So trying to kind of amplify that psychic potential. Then we get witches, genetically flawed abhumans with potent psychic abilities. Overseers, designed to control witches. These tall, gray creations are protected by psych dampeners. So if we go then into self-experimentation and immortality, which really sounds like he was in some sort of college phase at that point. Bile views himself.
Fabius.
No, man, I'm experimenting. I've got all these new smells. It's crazy. Bile views himself as the ultimate canvas for his experiments, constantly altering his own biology. clones and brain transference. So to extend his life, he creates clones of himself. So there we go. We did talk about it. Yep.
Very nice.
But he does.
Cool.
Yep. He creates clones of himself, transferring his mind into new bodies when his frail form begins to fail. Okay, I think we just need to pause there for a moment. That's fucking rad. So it very much is the I mean, if we go into Get Out, the Jordan Peele movie, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's such a classic scientific villain vibe of like, the flesh is weak. I must prevail. I must live on. And then transferring his fucking brain or his mental capacity into a new form. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder
Just
why he doesn't digitize himself.
Because he's an analog man. He loves the physical media. He doesn't want fucking MP3. He's got a record collection.
And he ain't gonna change. He's been. Come on.
Yeah, Belisarius Cawl would digitize himself. I could see that. But
Yeah.
Fabius, I'm fucking standing up for Fabius Bile, and I hate this guy. But he is a man of analog. He likes vinyl. He doesn't want an MP3. He wants to experiment, touch, feel, taste, all of it. Because he inherently loves Slaanesh, just doesn't know it yet. He's serving Slaanesh by the tactical, the feel, rather than just the 01010111.
You are flip-flopping on whose side.
I know, man. It's so weird. I read more of it, and I'm like, I fucking don't want to like this guy.
Should I
It's
serve
pretty cool.
Slaanesh?
Should I serve Slaanesh?
What we should do is make brochures for all 4 chaos gods. Just like, is Slaanesh right for you? Like, here's all the different points of like, why serve? Oh, okay. What are the perks? What are my rewards?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen it, but like the 4 pictures of chaos gods right next to each other that everybody always thinks of. Apparently, those aren't official GW artworks.
No,
but everybody uses them. I didn't know that for the longest time.
Did AI make them?
No, they've been around forever, but because they've been around forever, everybody thought they were official, and they use them in like videos and stuff to like, oh, this is Nurgle, this is Slaanesh, this is Zinch, this is Khorne. None of them are official artwork.
Yeah,
they're
that's
all
right.
Yeah, isn't that trippy?
That's funny.
Yeah,
weird. Yeah.
Anyway, what else we got? Wraithbone neural receivers. So he stole some technology from the Dark Eldar, because they love Wraithbone, them and the Eldari. And it allows him to implant his mind into multiple host bodies and control individuals subconsciously. That's pretty fucking cool. Damn it.
Pretty fucking cool.
It's
Wraithbone.
So evil. So evil. And that's kind of a cool thing. He's got a willingness to use Xenos biology and Xenos form, because he views it. He doesn't view it. He's not trying to limit his scope.
Yeah.
So some unique constructs: the Enlightener, a grotesque psychic golem created from the corpse of Chapter Master Argento Corian. It was eventually destroyed by an Officio Assassinorum execution force. Mindworms, centipede-like constructs capable of extracting and storing thoughts, memories, and dreams for later use.
Ooh, cool.
That's pretty rad. Splices, mutant hybrids of human and animal DNA, resulting in grotesque forms like canid, simian, and arachnoid creatures. Ooh,
there you go, all you furries out there. You're working for Bile now. Get your yiff on with Bile.
Uncle Bile.
The whole I was gonna say the whole Flash Gets thing is really Black Templars versus Fabius Bile. We didn't know it
is.
The whole time.
His creations, yeah.
He definitely has we talk about the scientific like madman and stuff, like Island of Dr. Moreau. If you guys have ever seen that or read that book, terrible movie, fucking horrible. But if you like this kind of thing, like the experiments on, human and animal DNA and stuff, and you think that Fat Marlon Brando's funny, then there you go. Dark Eldar technology. So Bile's time studying with Dark Eldar technology, like we talked about with the Wraith construct, has equipped him with exotic tools like night shields, retrofitted cloaking technology for his ships inspired by the Dark Eldar. And we have the legacy of horror. So the atrocities Fabius Bile leaves in his wake, planets filled with genetic abominations and ruined populations, continue to plague the Imperium. The Inquisition and the Adeptus Astartes are forced to intervene, often resorting to exterminatus to halt the spread of his creations. Bile's ultimate ambition to create a twisted version of humanity, free from the flaws of the Emperor's vision, makes him one of the most dangerous and unsettling figures in the Warhammer 40k universe. Fucking A right, it does. Yep.
Yeah.
That last part.
Yeah, and I wrote.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote like quite a bit on Fabius Bile. Like I normally don't focus too much on characters in these style of episodes, but he is the Legion, man. Like there's not many of them left. Everything is going through him. And he will be the last one left.
Yeah. And his influence is huge. Like he has the ability to control so much.
Yeah, adding another layer of nerddom, that last part where he's just leaving planets filled with genetic abominations reminds me of the Rick and Morty episode where he Cronenberg's the whole thing, and instead of trying to fix it, he just leaves. I picture that's what Bile he goes to do experiments, and then when it's too bad, he's like, "All right, I'm bored. Everybody out," and he just leaves.
Yeah, man. All right. So now we kind of go back to what have they been up to the last 10,000 years. That's what Fulgrim's been up to. That's the long party, the long war.
The long party. We love that. All right. Excuse me. Perfection is elusive in the mortal realm, where life is finite and time marches ever forward, stealing opportunities and leaving only failures and regrets. But within the warp, places like the Eye of Terror and the Screaming Vortex, the rules of reality break. Time becomes a malleable tool, allowing its inhabitants to savor every moment, reverse regrets, and perfect their craft. Here, the Emperor's Children and other Chaos Marines released from the Imperium's rigid dogma have spent millennia honing their skills. I love Fabius. I wonder. I'm not reading that.
Come on, just read a little
Nope.
bit of it.
Nope.
Till the end. Okay.
Nope. You read that.
What? How many dicks he's grafted on himself?
Love Fabius. I wonder how many dicks he's grafted on himself. Such splendid dicks he has. Everyone talks about his dicks. Yeah.
What are we
Thanks,
doing?
Liar, from the chat?
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
All right. These veterans of the Long War, driven by their hatred for the Emperor, find pleasure in not just revenge, but in the exquisite refinement of their passions. Within the warp, they can immerse themselves in sensations of torment, the artistry of vengeance, and unending pursuit of new delights. For the followers of Slaanesh, war is not simply about destruction. They mock the simplicity of Khorne's bloodlust or Tzeentch's endless schemes. To them, the act of conquest is an art form, a canvas on which they paint with suffering and ecstasy. The timeless realms of the warp grant them the freedom to experiment endlessly, perfecting their methods and savoring every sensation their enemies provide. The twisted devotion to perfection elevates them beyond simple warriors. To a servant of Slaanesh, existence is not merely about survival, but about reveling in the boundless opportunities to indulge and corrupt. Their every action a testament to the Dark Prince's eternal quest for perfection and excess. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And it kind of plays into how they were pre-heresy, because they used to start duels and get into it with everybody who looked their way. Even if they were mortals, they'd still get in jousting matches with them because, hey, this is fun. We get a chance to perfect what we're doing. And now they're in the warp like, hey, this is fun. We're high on warp dust and we can do this all day. Let's go. And they just keep doing
Let's
it.
get after it. Yeah, man. Just excessively.
And it feels like it's probably, see if this makes sense. It feels like it's probably not that disciplined, because you think of other factions like, I guess probably the White Scars. They focus on their swordsmanship, their how well they're doing something. They focus on the technique. I feel like the Emperor's Children are just kind of having fun with it, laissez-faire, just throwing their swords around, saying, "Oh, does this work?" And then they find a rhythm that really works for them.
Yeah. They lost their collective purpose long ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So now they've been in the warp for 10,000 years, and that's played another huge number on their gene seed. We'll talk about that a little later too. But Fabius Bile becomes a little bit more important with each passing year.
They're just like, hey man, you got any more of that gene seed? We're hurting, man. We
You
got
old
like
man.
We only got this bunk ass Iron Hands gene seed if you want it. No, I don't want it. Thanks, so I'll come back again.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that. It was funny.
All right. Organization is up next. The Emperor's Children once embodied perfection through their careful hierarchy and well-ordered formations, but the end of the Horus Heresy shattered this structure beyond repair. Scattered and broken during the Legion Wars, their endless conflicts with other traitor legions in pursuit of slaves and excess left the Third Legion a shadow of its former glory. The noble cohesion they once prized has given way to a splintered existence of warbands, each fighting for its own indulgent goals. By the late 41st millennium, the Emperor's Children no longer function as a united legion. Instead, they are a collection of Chaos Space Marine warbands, each commanded by a leader who cares nothing for allegiance to other fragments of the once proud legion. This fracturing reflects the all-consuming corruption of Slaanesh, where the pursuit of personal pleasure overrides all notions of unity and purpose. Each heretic Astartes has become a selfish, hedonistic monster. Their obsession with sensation drives them to exist in loose groups bound only by necessity. These warbands serve as tools for indulging their individual appetites, whether through battle, torment, or taking of slaves. Their numbers provide the strength needed to pursue these desires, yet even with these groups, betrayal and self-interest are constant threats. This descent into fragmented chaos mirrors the ultimate corruption of their souls. What was once a proud legion of perfect warriors has degenerated into scattered, self-absorbed fiends. They revel in their depravity, each seeking their own pinnacle of indulgence, regardless of the cost to those around them, or even themselves. Yeah, it's just that total opposite, where once they were calm, measured, and control, once those floodgates opened, they couldn't contain it at all. Now they're just over the top. King.
I think it's also a cool juxtaposition to how they were portrayed in 30K, where they were perfect. They moved as units. They were one beautiful machine whenever they were acting. And now that they're fallen, they're not a beautiful machine. They don't work with each other. It's just whatever. Just, I think this is perfect. Okay. And they just clash with each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of tragic. Like we were talking in the Fulgrim episode. It's tragic that this is what the Legion turned into.
Yeah. The fall
So then
the
what?
biggest fall for sure.
What's the motivation for these war bands to like stay together? Like if they're not united in any sense, except for maybe looking towards some sense of perfection, or like, you know, that Fulgrim's cool guy, like we like him. Like what is the
But like how
just be on your own?
Yeah, how
You know?
cool of a warband could you really make over just a bunch of drug obsessed people? You're all just trying to get your next hit. You know, it's hard to keep that group of people together, even if you can motivate them by saying at the end we might get some drugs. Still hard to get those people motivated by that.
Or even just the opinions, the opinionation, like the opinion differences is like when, you know, I've been in multiple bands over the course of my life, and it's Well, no, I want to play it this way. Well, that way sucks, man. We should play it like this. Like, no. We should, and the idea, the pursuit of perfection and the drive and everything, like these guys can't continuously decide what to do, right? Like, so it just feels a little weird that there is no unification.
I think it makes sense though, because when you think about how arrogance is tied into everything that they do, each warband leader is so arrogant that they think their journey to perfection is the one to go, and they get people to believe them and follow them.
Yeah. And maybe it's like you're united by the ability, in the sense of like, well, if I'm on my own, I have no opportunities to go fight. I have no opportunities to
Yeah, there has
paint
to be some
masterfully
base
with
level of
blood.
cooperation,
Yeah.
to be able to get some resources to do more things. But yeah, I
Well,
imagine, they have all these grand ambitions. They're like, yeah, we're going to start the largest crusade. It starts off huge, so excessive. And then by the time it actually launches, it's just 5 guys. By the time it ends, 2 of them are like already onto other things.
Well, a lot of people forget how dangerous Astartes really are, because Fulgrim went to take a planet with 6. Korax trained his to be able to conquer a planet by themselves. Like 5 Astartes that have the same idea could be a very dangerous thing, even though it doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things. 5 could easily conquer a planet on their own.
And if pride plays into it as well, like say you got 5 guys, like if it's just you doing your glorious deeds of masterful artistry and masterful tactics, like who the fuck do
Yeah,
you get to
you
show
gotta-
off to? Like you
Yeah, you
can't
gotta
rub it in
in
anybody's
somebody's
face.
face.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No, you have to be able to be like, oh, you did that.
Excellent.
Oh, I wouldn't have made that choice.
I
would've
did
done
that
it this
last
way."
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you took that planet with 5? I could have done it with 3.
Yeah, I guarantee there is a little bit of
Yeah,
that.
I like
Just
that.
like we're in this together, but I'm in it to show you that I'm better than you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, maybe we'll learn a little bit more here too, because we're going to get into the special ranks and formations. So there's a Lord Exultant. The Lord Exultant is a supreme commander of the Emperor's children, blending battlefield tactics with an insatiable desire for perfection. These lords lead war bands with unrelenting charisma, driving their forces to achieve flawless coordination in combat. Clad in ornate armor adorned with symbols of Slaanesh, they embody martial perfection and decadence, motivating their followers to greater feats of skills and excess. On the battlefield, the Lord Exultant inspires allies to fight with unmatched precision, turning even chaotic engagements into carefully orchestrated displays of brutality.
These are the new units that are coming out, the names from. So it's pretty cool to see kind of the expansion of units and stuff as we'll get into them.
Sweet.
Yeah, this episode was timed perfectly.
Yeah.
So the Lord Cacophonist. The Lord Cacophonist is a master of sonic warfare. Oh, fucking love that. Channeling Slaanesh's gifts through powerful sound-based weaponry, these individuals act as destructive maestros, wielding instruments of war that unleash shockwaves and devastating sonic barrages capable of rupturing flesh, shattering fortifications, and driving enemies to madness. Beyond their direct destructive power, the Lord Cacophonist manipulates sound to disrupt enemy morale, sowing chaos among the ranks. They lead noise marines into battle, amplifying their discordant symphony to drown the battlefield in deadly sound. So next time you're at the stop sign or stoplight and a dude pulls up and he's just bumping with the bass in his car's, boom, boom. You just look over and you just yell noise marine, or you yell out, "Hey man, are you a Lord Cacophonist?" And just see what they say.
Let's see if they pick up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they say praise Slaanesh, you made a new friend.
Yeah, you could go hop right in their back seat. Just pull over, park your car, harp on theirs.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it. He's just like, I'm going to yell so loud, it's going to burst your eardrums, and then you'll be sorry.
That's so cool.
I don't know why, but that just gave me vibes of like the weird kid in high school that would hiss or something when you annoyed them. Like the dude pulls up, he's bumping, and you're just like trying to make
Weird kid used hiss. It was
yeah,
not very
weird kid used hiss.
effective.
You're just hissing at the dude at the stoplight, and he's just like, "What?"
Sonic weapons, real neat stuff.
Oh, we love that. Speaking of Sonics, for you video watchers, you can see the glory of my Sonic Dreadnought, because that's the next thing we're talking about.
That's sick.
Oh, dude, it was such a fun model when I could use it. But the Sonic Dreadnought is a towering engine of destruction that is designed to harness and amplify the Emperor's Children's mastery of sonic warfare. These ancient war machines are equipped with devastating sonic weapons, such as the Blaster Masters and Doom Sirens, capable of obliterating enemy ranks with waves of concussive energy and disorienting sound. Their role on the battlefield was twofold: crush the enemies with overwhelming firepower to project terror as unholy noises. Overwhelming firepower and to project terror as their unholy noise they emits shreds both flesh and sanity. These dreadnoughts often serve as immovable pillars of destruction of any Slaanesh assault. And that was very true on the tabletop when you could use them.
Yeah, very cool.
I hope they come back.
Sonic.
Yeah. And then a staple and my favorite unit, and what got me to actually play the Emperor's Children, the Noise Marines. The Noise Marines are the Emperor's Children's signature infantry, infamous for their use of sonic weaponry to dominate the battlefield. Each Noise Marine wields instruments of death, such as sonic blasters and blaster masters, capable of emitting sound waves that tear apart armor, pulverize flesh, and deafen all who hear them. Their presence is an assault on the senses, combining lethal precision with an overwhelming cacophony of noise. Noise Marines are often deployed to suppress enemy positions, obliterate entrenched forces, and break enemy morale through sheer sensory overload, which you guys say I played them a lot a couple editions ago, and even on the tabletop, they played very much this way. With the sonic weapons, they were able to just dumpster almost everything they shot at. They had a special stratagem that was just for the Noise Marines that let them shoot a second time. So if they didn't get it, they could pick it up again. And then they had another rule that if you killed a Noise Marine, it could shoot.
Nice.
Yeah, so you stack all those on top of it in one battle round. One unit of Noise Marines can fire 3 times at something if they get killed by whatever's shooting back at them. Oh yeah, they were horrifying. And the other fun thing, because the Emperor's Children's chapter tactic used to be based around melee, Noise Marines can also take swords instead of their sonic blasters. So you can charge things with Noise Marines, get in a fight, lose the fight, but because you lose the fight, you get to shoot now. So you can shoot them with your pistol, your plasma pistols, and I destroyed a lot of vehicles by charging it, damaging it. Then when my guys died, overcharged plasma pistol, doesn't matter, he's gonna die anyway. Pop! Oh, your thing died. What happened? It was so much
Every
fun.
time. Works every time.
Oh, dude, they really did. I've done that to vehicles. I killed an orc war boss in Overwatch with them because I could keep daisy chaining them shooting things. It was just so busted, and I loved it. They were expensive too. It was like a 200-point unit. Like I paid for it, but they were really strong.
That's cool.
Yeah, like they're Slaanesh's, the Emperor's Children, like iconic unit. We were talking about like why noise is the iconic kind of unit. Like why did they not go with another sense? Like how do you do the taste as an iconic unit or sight?
It's got to just be some sense of like, this is the new thing that we can kind of push. Like, it makes sense because there's what like siege tactics when you get into hostage situations and things, like they blast a ton of music in order to like drive people insane. So there's like a realistic part of it too. But I think like it's just fucking cool. It's 80s metal, like, and that seems very excessive. And you know,
I think that's more what drove their creation over how cool sonic weapons are. I think it was more of, again, 40K being a parody. How do we
Yeah,
parody 80 metals hairbands in this
yeah,
grimdark fantasy? Oh, I know. Let's make dudes who have sonic weapons that look like guitars. That's awesome.
yeah. Of course, it's just a bunch of dudes in the UK creating fun things. Like, how do we make this on table? Like, well, he's got a fucking guitar. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And I think that aesthetic really carries over into the new models too. Like, I don't know how much on the internet you've been seeing, but like a lot of them have kind of the hoof thing in the front of their shoe like they used to. But some of
Like
them have
the 70s boot that they used to
yeah,
have.
the 70s boot, but some of them
Yeah.
also have like a little kitten heel kind of thing going on, like
Really?
old 80s. Yeah, like if you look up Lucius the Eternals model, a lot of people are loving he's got a little kitten heel going on with his boot, and it looks really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fun to see them incorporate the old elements like that, but still modernize the range to make it neat to somebody who's like, I don't want a bunch of dudes with guitars, but like, oh, okay, this I'm feeling this.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The hoof thing, I see for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you look up Lucius the Eternal heel, I'm sure the Reddit thing will come up because I've seen it so many times.
I think also it's one of those things too where it's like we talked about like how could you do it? Like what if it was a visual thing? Well, a visual thing is a little hindered because you're really relying on what you see versus your imagination. And uh the idea that like, okay, we're gonna do noise marines. Like you can see the weapon and then imagine the terror and how it's like making someone's head almost explode versus trying to kind of cater to another sense. Like you've
Yeah,
scent marines is, the scent marines is going to be Nurgle.
I think the other thing when you tie in, like, if you think about what's something that's excessive and offends you easily,
Hmm.
the low hanging fruit is a car, like you said earlier, a car driving by that's super noisy, bumping loud
Yeah.
music, or a house party down the road that you can hear. It's just, there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah.
So, sonic weapons make sense in that fact that there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to break your armor. It's going to it's just going to shake you up inside and ruin you.
So fun story time since for those of you guys who don't know, Mark, I think just dropped his internet just failed him. So it's just Logan and I hanging. So we're taking over, baby. But
It's our podcast now.
that's right. So and then Callus Typhon, I see your comment. I don't have the chat logged in thing, but I will post a link in the Lorehammer Discord to hang out at the Funk Discord. So I got you, bud. So talking about like sensory overload and you can't do anything about it. It's a very side tangent. One of the most terrifying things I've ever gone through was I had like 24-hour memory loss. I was at a metal show when I was young, and my friends found me on the couch holding my head saying like, what happened? And for 24 hours my memory just kept relapsing like every couple minutes. So my dad took me over the course of like a summer to a bunch of different neurological studies and tests to see like, did I have a tumor? Like, did my brain just fry? What happened? So I took I did an epilepsy exam basically. So what that entails at the time, at least, was one of the tests was they strap you to the they strap you down to like the medical chair thing. They put a big LED light bar over your eyes and they say, okay, and we strap your head too. They say, okay, are you comfortable? I'm like, fuck no, I'm not comfortable. They're like, okay, fine. So just close your eyes, keep your eyes closed, and this light is just going to flash. Okay. And then it's going to speed up. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. There's no noise, nothing. Okay. So it's a sensory for like your eyes and visual. This thing flashes and you can see that like when you close your eyes, you can see the colors and stuff. And then it flashes again. And then it flashes again and again and again and again and again. It just it goes into like strobe light mode and you're like, oh fuck, I want to close my eyes. And then you realize Oh my God, my eyes are closed and I can't do anything about it. I can't cover them because I'm strapped down and I can still see the light through my eyelids and it is driving me crazy. It felt like torture. It was terrifying. And what
That's
they were trying to
crazy.
do was like trigger
A
a
seizure.
seizure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't, thank God. But it was the most sensory overload thing I've ever felt, and it was fucking horrific. So noise marines, yes, and then like what flash marines or something like
Flashbangs.
yeah, everywhere. But yeah, that might work.
That's funny.
It's wild. Anyway, well, why don't we keep cruising on this since
Yeah, I can keep
you
going.
want to take it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got the flawless blades, which are some of the new units. They are an elite close combat warriors who embody Slaanesh's obsession with perfection in every strike. Armed with masterfully crafted power swords and paired with
Preternatural.
what is that?
Preternatural.
Preternatural? That
Yep.
I've never heard that. Preternatural speed. They execute their enemies with surgical precision. Their fighting style is an art form, equal parts elegant and deadly, as they weave through the battlefield, dispatching foes with choreographed efficiency. The flawless blades are typically used as shock troops, delivering devastating charges to shatter enemy lines and carve through elite defenders and ruthless elegance. Man, I like that. I like all of the themes of the Emperor's Children. The excess, the beauty, the perfection. Just such a fun theme. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. Another cool unit they've got, and I think this is a dual model kit, which is going to be pretty cool, but they've got Tormentors and Infractors. Tormentors and Infractors are versatile units designed to sow chaos and pain wherever they go. Tormentors specialize in psychological warfare. Let's go, using horrific displays of manipulation and sonic devices to terrify and demoralize their foes before engaging them. Infractors, on the other hand, serve as heavy assault units, wielding destructive weaponry designed to annihilate entrenched enemy positions or armored targets. Together, these units play dual role in Slaaneshi warbands, breaking enemy morale and shattering their defenses through fear and overwhelming firepower.
Yeah, that's sick. I think that would just be a really cool, and by cool I mean horrific, like visual too, like seeing like a really cool, well-formed space marine, like Astartes unit going in, but then like getting hit with all this shit and just seeing them entrenched and then their morale breaking and just like them suffering through all of this. Oh, it's wild.
There's a really cool picture that I like to think of, and it's I think it's a sister battle, or it's some other, or a normal mortal that's like holding up a lantern or something, looking for something, and then there's just a noise marine standing right behind it, the one with the big sonic mouth looking thing, and it just goes.
He just puts his fingers to his lips. Just
yeah, it's
great.
such a cool, horrifying imagery because those things are loud. So the fact it got that close to someone without making noise, just so cool. This is my favorite Chaos faction.
I see a lot in the chat here, and the chat's just firing off, and I love this. Talking about Grimaldus, that was a hilarious comment, by the way. Like Flash Marines just opening up their armor, that was great. And we could talk about like the rock and roll metal sound and like noise Marines. Truly though, like you can go on YouTube and there are videos of like weird harmonic frequencies that if you listen to it, it will induce headaches. It will like mess with your like your stomach and stuff. It's not gonna be, I know we talk about it like it's a joke, like it's rock and roll that they're playing, but it's like fucking the worst thing you'd ever hear. So if it was ever rock and roll, what they're blasting is Nickelback. That's what they're blasting. If it's gonna be rock and roll, they're blasting Nickelback. It's just terrible.
Look at this warband. Yeah. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
but again, it's like the extended version, so it's like that. Look at this graph. It's just terrible.
I like the one where they warp it to make him say giraffe, and he holds up a picture of a giraffe.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just Chad Kroger's voice the whole time. Anyway, there's like I think we do get the idea, like, oh, it's this metal sound, it's really cool noise, but like, no, it's fucking horrific, whatever it is, dissonant notes and all that stuff. Anyway,
Yeah. All right.
what else you got?
The enhanced warriors. The enhanced warriors are the Emperor's children's testament to the relentless pursuit of perfection through dark science and heretical experimentation. These Astartes have undergone extensive genetic and cybernetic modifications, enhancing their reflexes, strength, and sensory perception to levels that surpass even typical Chaos Space Marines. These enhancements allow them to react with lightning-fast precision, perceive enemies with inhuman clarity, and fight with the fluidity that seems almost supernatural. Enhanced warriors are versatile fighters, excelling in both ranged and melee combat, and serve as the backbone of many Emperor's Children's warbands, capable of adapting to any battlefield role with deadly efficiency. Okay, you know what this made me think of? You got to walk with me on this.
Okay.
So cats, they have such no. Listen, they have such
I know. I'm sorry.
Lightning fast reflexes that they can literally dodge and smack snakes when they're trying to strike. And I think they're the only animal that can dodge a snake strike. And earlier they talked about Fabius combining DNA with humans and stuff. I don't know why, but when I was reading that they can dodge things with precision and perceive things before anything else, I'm picturing an Astartes, but he's got cat ears. Like just Neko Astartes.
Oh gosh. Oh man. The anime fan in you just like
dude,
got so excited.
Oh well.
Shut up. I'm banning you right now. I'm kicking you off this thing, and it's gonna be the Court Hammer podcast. I will be and then there was one.
There was one.
Liar in the chat says the musical after you said cats.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, walk with me. Hang on. Wait. Not the music.
Wait. Oh man, it's good. All right, so recruitment. I think this is going to shed a lot of light on how this works because, again, we're getting a better picture of how these war bands actually act. I think there was a little bit of definitely confusion on my part of like, how is this even happening? So the recruitment process of the Emperor's Children reflects both their once noble origins and their descent into corruption. During the Loyalist days, they sought only the most physically perfect and mentally disciplined aspirants, much like would be Hugh Jackman or John Stamos nowadays, just saying, prizing aesthetic refinement and unwavering dedication above all else. Each potential recruit was rigorously tested, not only for strength and skill, but also for their capacity to embody the ideals of perfection. This meticulous selection process ensured that every neophyte was a shining example of humanity's potential, ready to join a legion that epitomized grace and excellence in all things. Man, what a bunch of elitist pricks. Just snobs all the way.
Court, they don't have a superiority complex because there's nothing complex about their superiority.
Exactly.
It's just
You're right.
fact.
It's just, fact. With their fall to Slaanesh, the Emperor's Children transformed this process into a grotesque reflection of their depravity. Now recruits are chosen for their capacity to embrace excess and their willingness to abandon all moral restraint. The aspirants must prove their devotion to Slaanesh through acts of unthinkable indulgence and cruelty, casting aside their humanity in the pursuit of sensation. The once pristine trials of physical and mental perfection have been replaced by debased rites that push the boundaries of the aspirant's endurance, pain, tolerance, and capacity for corruption. So it's like hazing when you're trying to get into a frat.
I was going to say it's pledged to get in the Emperor's Children. You have to go through the worst pledge week of your life.
Right, yeah.
Do this line of warp dust, drink all this, and jump over that mountain. Okay.
You know they're definitely doing the thing in Old School where they tie their dicks to cinder blocks. They're definitely doing that.
What?
You've seen that, right?
No.
You've never seen Old School?
No.
Will Ferrell?
What are you talking about?
Old School.
Repeating Old School does not give me new information.
Oh my gosh. it's a bunch of dudes. It's Will Ferrell and my gosh, he's
Oh,
in
yeah,
Swingers.
it's Will Ferrell, Luke Wilson, Vince
Vince Vaughn. Thank
Vaughn.
you, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
They form a fraternity basically, and they have to they like pledge a bunch of guys. They get a bunch of guys to pledge. So they stand at the edge of on top of a building. They stand at the edge of it, and they're like, "Gentlemen, I'm sure you're all wondering why your dicks are tied securely to a cinder block with an unknown amount of rope." And so they've got all this rope, and they have to like it's a trust exercise that like they throw this thing off, and they hope that there's enough rope that there's slack so that when it hits the ground. Are you looking up the scene? You better be looking up the scene.
No, I'm not. I was in 3rd grade when this came out. I don't know when I would have seen this.
What? Okay. You need to watch this. You need to. It's classic.
Did you watch all the stuff I sent you?
Okay, let's move on. No, I did not. Sorry, I will. Anyways, those who survive the initiation process are subjected to genetic modifications that warp their bodies into instruments of indulgence and war. The implementation of corrupted gene seed ensures their loyalty to the Legion and to Slaanesh, but it also amplifies their hedonistic impulses. This transformation binds them to the path of excess, leaving no room for the disciplined ideals of their past. Every recruit emerges as a twisted reflection of the perfection the Emperor's children once embodied, a creature devoted entirely to sensation and self-indulgence. Even within this debased process, a sense of pride remains, albeit tainted by corruption. The Emperor's children believe their recruits represented a higher form of existence, transcending the limitations of morality and restraint. To them, the transformation of a recruit into a devotee of Slaanesh is not a loss, but an evolution, a step closer to the ultimate perfection promised by the Dark Prince. Yet this pride is hollow, for the recruits are now elevated. They are consumed, becoming mere vessels for the Legion's unending pursuit of excess and chaos. That paints a real good picture, man, of like, I think we kind of talked about like how, why, like what's the point of this? And is it just like sex, drugs, rock and roll? I think that really gives a good overview of the Emperor's Children. That is like our summary right there. I think if you read that to somebody and be like, that's the Emperor's Children. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I always wondered how Chaos Legions got new recruits, so this was kind of cool to see how they do grow.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that. That's weird.
Right, because it's just they exist, and they continue to exist. It's just one of their things.
Think about that.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about their combat doctrine.
Yeah.
The Emperor's children, once paragons of martial precision and aesthetic perfection, have devolved into avatars of hedonistic warfare. What a phrase. Their combat doctrine reflects their corrupted ethos, a blend of artistry, savagery, and an insatiable hunger for excess. Every engagement becomes a stage upon which they perform acts of gruesome brilliance, seeking not just victory, but the sublime thrill of carnage. Their battlefield strategies are as calculated as they are flamboyant, designed to maximize their own pleasure and suffering of their foes. That's crazy. That's funny.
Do you think, sorry, just before you move on, do you think, real quick, that when Emperor's children are faced up against Harlequins, that there's a sense of like, okay, but that's pretty fucking cool? Like, do you think they see the Harlequins and they're like, I can do better, but these guys are kind of doing it the way that we like?
You're gonna hate me, but I feel like it's a goths versus emo thing between them. They're just like posers. Like, I feel like that would be the
Okay.
interaction, but that kind of
Okay.
energy between seeing them. Like, yeah, they're both beautiful and cool and
Yeah.
dancing all over the place, but they look at each other as like, poser.
Yeah. Okay. I like that actually. That's good. Just when you read that, I was like, this feels a little bit Harlequin-esque. So, anyways.
Speed and precision remain hallmarks of their approach, carried over from the days of loyal service to the Emperor. However, this discipline has been twisted into a prideful display of individual superiority. Each warrior fights to outshine their brethren, transforming battles into a macabre, competitions of skill and cruelty. Their superhuman reflexes and mastery of close combat allow them to overwhelm their enemies with blinding speed, devastating precision, and the art of every kill. At the heart of their doctrine lies pursuit of sensation, which is kind of what I was thinking of earlier. They relish close combat above all, with the clash of blades, the spray of blood becoming a symphony of pain and pleasure. The Noise Marines amplified the philosophy, turning the sonic weapons into instruments of destruction that assault the senses of their enemy while filling their own twisted minds with euphoria. Ooh. So now I'm picturing like you've got these weird dudes charging you with a bunch of swords. Your brain is being rattled by the Noise Marines and it's buffing them. Dude, that would be a cool tabletop rule. Like, instead of if you're within certain range of the Noise Marines, the other ones get a bonus thing, or the Noise Marines can shoot at an ally unit and increase their stats.
I like
kind of
that.
like this.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
It's macabre, by the way. Macabre.
I tried. I'm just
you're good. I just wanted to educate you. That's it, baby.
I appreciate you, macabre. I thought it was macabre, but there was an R there, and I'm like, what do I do with the R?
Yeah, the R and the E at the end is just silent. You could,
Dude,
yeah.
There are so
Mark
many
always
words.
says words are made up, so there you go.
Yeah, they are, dude. The joys of dyslexia. It's like, okay, there are letters here, and I've only read this. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and then
like I was gonna say, like the word colonel. Yeah. I didn't know colonel was colonel. I thought it was two different things. I thought it was colonial and colonel. I thought they were two different ranks.
Colonel.
It's spelled COLO.
Yeah, but there's still colonial is a different word.
Right, but I'm dyslexic. I couldn't tell the difference. Right. I didn't know colonel was spelled COLO.
Yeah, it's weird.
I saw COL and I'm like, oh, this is clearly colonial. This is a rank in the military, and I moved on with my life.
Or colonel.
And then I said, yeah, I said that to someone. They're like, what are you talking about? And I showed them the writing of it, and they're like, that's colonel. I'm like, there's no R. What do you mean that's colonel? This is COLO. That's not how you spell colonel.
Language is fucking crazy.
Oh, dude, just
if you're just tuning in, by the way, which I think we just had a few people jump on, like Mark, his internet just died, so you're stuck with Logan and I tonight. It's the Logan and Court Lorehammer show, talking about Slaanesh. There it is.
I was like, are you going Troy and Abed in the morning, or where are you going? Because I can't join in.
Oh, we could. Court and Logan in the evening. It's not the morning.
It's the morning somewhere.
That's true. Okay. All right. Anyways, carry on. You were doing a great job.
I was. Thank you. And you ruined it. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
Yes, this hedonistic fervor comes at a cost. The Emperor's children often forego cohesion and long-term strategy in favor of immediate gratification, which feels so appropriate for them.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, they're prone to overindulgence, pursuing the ecstasy of battle in such extremes where they leave themselves vulnerable to counterattacks. What? For them, war is no longer a means to an end, but an endless performance, a grotesque celebration of their fall from grace. In the pursuit of pleasure and perfection, they embody the ultimate corruption of the ideas they once held dear. I think that's what I like the most about them, because they don't treat battle like, because I play Raven Guard too. That's my number one. They're very strategist, stealth, focus, locked in, know your enemy, here you go. Then I play the Sisters, and they're very dogmatic and religious is kind of their theme. But then there's the Emperor's Children, which is just the complete opposite of like, hey, let's just go. Let's just have some fun. Let's see what happens. This is all beautiful as we dance on this battlefield.
Yeah. But maybe it doesn't, I mean, it probably starts that way a little bit, but it says like it kind of devolves into that, like as it amps up, as more like kills are, happening, as more noise is going on. It's just like this excess. So it's, you go in with, yes, we are not like strict regiments, but like, this is our plan. We're going to do this. And it would be funny just to see like, Black Legion or like Death Guard or something like teamed up with Emperor's Children, and they're all, Death Guard's like walking slow, like, we got this. All right, everybody good. And then, you've got Black Legion. All right, we're gonna fuck shit up. Come on, we've got this. And then what's going on over there with you guys? What's with the Emperor's Children? They're like, let's fucking go, man. Like, they're just shaking and scratching. Like, all right, man, let's fucking get this. They're addicts for war.
It's the Leroy Jenkins thing, but with an entire war band.
Yes.
Just
Can
like,
you
all
make
right,
some calculations on that.
Yeah, we've got 20,000 men. Here we are, and 5,000 of them just ran in with their swords drawn. Okay, I guess we're going.
Yeah, oh, fuck. Yeah, man. The come down of that too is interesting. Like, I would like to know a little bit more about like the post battle. Like, are they just smoking cigarettes? Like, what's happening?
I feel it'd be kind of that. Like, you're just like, once everyone is dead around you, and you're just riding that high for a little while, and you just kind of like, I picture they just kind of come down and just like mellow out by the end of it.
Yeah, just interesting. Cool.
Yeah. You want to take the next 2 sections?
Yeah. We're going to talk about some gene seed here. The Emperor's Children, the Third Legion, were the embodiment of perfection and pride. From their founding, their gene seed produced warriors of unparalleled refinement, physiques sculpted to aesthetic perfection, bearing noble and dignified, and minds honed toward unrelenting ambition. These were warriors who sought not just victory, but the flawless execution of every action, driven by a competitive hunger for superiority. Even their physical abnormalities, like the rare albinism or violet-hued irises, only added to their ethereal allure. Interesting. So, bit of the Valerian vibe from Game of Thrones.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
Moving on. They've got like platinum blonde hair, very pale, and in the book, their eyes are purple.
Okay, I know who we're talking about now.
Yeah. Despite near catastrophe during their founding due to viral blight and accidents that nearly wiped them out, the apothecaries of Terra salvaged and purified their gene seed to a standard unmatched by any other legion. The Emperor's Children became a shining example of what the Astartes could be, perfection made manifest. Every enhancement of their gene seed operated flawlessly, making them the pinnacle of transhuman warriors. They rejected psychers as imperfections, instead prizing pure physical and mental excellence. Didn't know that. Didn't know they had weren't into the psyker vibe. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because psychers aren't perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yet their pride and pursuit of perfection led them into the clutches of corruption. After their fall to chaos during the Horus Heresy, the once perfect gene seed became a mockery of its former glory, riddled with mutations and chaos taint. Sorry. I just had I don't know, dumb adolescent mind happen when I said chaos taint.
How old are you?
Oh, it just devolved into, I know, my God.
You were doing so well.
I know.
Like, I was like, why is he getting tearied up by this? It's not even that heavy. Oh, he said taint.
Riddled with mutations and chaos taint. God. Oh, this is what happens when Mark's not here. Now, the Emperor's Children must rely on theft to sustain their numbers. Oh, okay. Raiding loyalist chapters to steal untainted gene seed if they can tear themselves away from their decadent indulges long enough to remember what they once were. Okay. So that's how they obtain the gene seed a little bit, is just going on raids, taking it. There's a constant theme here of like what they are now is a mockery of what they once were. but they don't see it that way, I bet they see it as a
Oh,
greater
of course not.
enhancement, like we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of beliefs, then, man, our transitions are pretty spot on here tonight.
We're great at this.
We're good. So the fall of the Emperor's children, Slaanesh, transformed them into a grotesque parody of their former glory. Like we said, no longer the noble champions of perfection, they now exist solely to indulge in their most base and hedonistic desires, casting aside morality as a mere illusion. To them, Slaanesh offers a twisted enlightenment where true self-knowledge is found through the extremes of pleasure and pain. As their Primarch Fulgrim once noted, all beings are slaves to something, be it ambition, morality, or faith in the Emperor. Yeah, that makes sense. Centuries of infighting and decadence have shattered any cohesion within the Emperor's children. They now operate in scattered warbands, attacking with savage delight and reveling in the carnage they unleash. These hedonistic warriors, immune to all but the most extreme sensations, push their superhuman bodies to horrific limits. Some embrace the path of noise marines, wielding sonic weapons that turn their frenzied devotion into deadly cacophony. Slaanesh's gifts deepen their corruption, allowing them to experience every sensation, even though their ancient battle, even through their ancient battle plate, as pure ecstasy. In close combat, they revel in the slash of blades and the sting of riposts, savoring every drop of spilled blood as a nectar of divine pleasure. The Emperor's children are no longer bound by the constraints of discipline or honor, instead finding purpose in cruelty, excess, and unending self-indulgence. Addicts.
Yeah.
Whoo!
Addicts. Yeah.
Artistic addicts.
Yeah. I mean, what's the difference? No, I'm kidding. Oh no, they're cool. The whole, because I've seen it forever. Like we're gonna snort warp dust and then we're gonna go kill that Titan kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
they're just fun. It's cool that they kind of get a choice on which way they want to go. Like they can choose to be a noise marine or they can do the other jobs.
I was gonna say, I think with this, it allows. It's kind of reminds me of Nurgle a little bit, like Nurgle's gifts. Like it, there's so many different ways to go with it, and because excess is limitless in its scope, you could have somebody who just wants to like be the most physically fit, strongest um, Emperor's, children, like Marine ever, or you could have somebody who's like, I'm going to be the greatest swordsman on this battlefield. I think it allows for really cool characters in this, even.
Yeah. Actually brings up the next point because they can be very unique.
Mhm.
And their appearance of their armor is super unique because during before the heresy, they're perfect gold, purple, white, no exceptions. But after that, they went with pastel colors, bright colors, pink that we all know, black, and they love decorating their armor so much that there are no two warbands that have the same armor. They're all different.
Oh, that would
Every
make
single
sense.
one is
That's
different.
cool.
So that's kind of like a canon reason why every Emperor's Children thing is painted a little differently, because no two warbands have the same color scheme. They all change how they want to paint it.
Yeah, I like that. They want to be individualistic.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's super cool.
Cool.
There's a quote from what they look like in the 41st millennia. His armor was enameled with garish hues, eye-watering purple and squint-inducing gold, encrusted with garish decorations and filigree like a tree choked with vines run amok. What flesh that could be seen within the armor was pale white and studded with piercings, needles, and rings of all varieties. The eyes which gazed out of that white skull seemed deadened and numb, the pupils so wide and dilated that scarcely any iris was visible. These were the eyes that had seen too much and never quite recovered. It was a condition that was like opposite of blindness. Rather than milky orbs that could see nothing, they were black eyes that could see everything, that could never look away.
That's sick. So like the idea that even they must take in an excess of even vision, like so their pupils are just huge. That's cool.
Yeah, they've got to keep seeing. And that also is like my favorite picture of the Noise Marine. His eyes are just big black circles because he's just constantly looking at everything.
Yeah.
And you know, as we've talked throughout this episode, we've mentioned a lot of their war gear, the sonic weaponry that is just very, I think it's unique to them because I don't think anyone else really uses the sonic weaponry.
I would almost bet that they just can't handle it.
True.
Like I would bet like it's akin to them because they want it, they desire it. Like if you had Abaddon and his boys try and use some like the blast masters that you're talking about, they might be able to do it for a little bit, but like excess isn't driving them. So I would almost bet like it would work against them.
Yeah. The one weapon that we haven't really mentioned is the Doom Siren, which
that's
before it acted a lot like a flamer, and it was super fun to use on the tabletop because the sergeant could have one, but it was stronger than a flamer. So the current ones are surgically integrated into their armor, allowing the warriors to amplify their own screams into violent torrents of pure sonic energy. It's not just a weapon of war, but a medium of the performance. Each strike carefully orchestrated to maximize devastation and sensation. And I think a lot of the new models, like I think some of them, if you look at their hands and stuff, they have Doom Sirens molded into the new ones.
That's
so
cool.
I'm excited for when that drops.
That makes sense too. It's like they're embodying that which they're using. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, the pursuit of beauty is deeply intertwined with their corruption. Each gleaming blade, ornate armor, and devastating sonic cannon serves a dual purpose: to spread the destruction and to satiate their unending hunger for sensation. Their war gear is a reflection of their pride, twisted by Slaanesh into instruments of excess. What once symbolized their loyalty to the Emperor now screams their debaseness devotion to chaos, a tragic irony for a legion that once strived to embody perfection. And with that, this silence offends Slaanesh.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I think when I get my rhinos painted, I'm going to paint that on the side of a couple of them.
Yeah.
That'd be going to be fun.
Yeah. Man, there's so many things that make these guys pretty unique. And not just their story, but like we talked about, like their war gear is pretty rad. That even they have uniqueness within their own legion. You know, like every warband has its own different variety of color scheme. I think that's pretty cool. The Emperor's Children seems to be one of those that, like, if you want to play a chaos army, but you don't quite, I don't know, like you don't quite vibe with the corn, like we're just gonna fucking berserk and blah, and like the slow, like Nurgly, like pestilence and disease, but you still want some fucking badass guys that will like hit with sonic weaponry, still do crazy cool melee damage, and they're insane. I think Emperor's Children's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, you have to kind of want to be able to go fast and shoot, because a lot of people don't want to mix them. They want one or the other, which kind of pushes people to Corn or to the Thousand Suns. It's that difference. But the way the Emperor's Children historically played, and the way I hope they play soon, is it's going to be very fast, very go, 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 go.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't mix with everybody, but if you're a go, go, go person, I think this is going to be a good spot for you.
Okay, so for somebody who doesn't, actually, I've only played Chaos back in the day, so I feel like these guys would be on bikes. And I know bikes have really gotten the shaft in the past couple of editions, but like
they actually used to have a model where the Chaos Lord could ride one of the Slaanesh demons.
Oh, like one of the weird
the weird noodle looking ones that are
yeah,
like
the noodle dinosaur.
Yeah, the Chaos Lord used to be able to ride the noodle dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
Like that used to be a thing.
It just makes sense. Like if they're gonna be like the junkies of speed and junkies of like I don't know, mastery, like there's got to be some sort of cool excess of speed unit. Like
Yeah,
the speed freaks and orcs.
I'm curious to see what the second wave of models are going to be for this, because we've seen Fulgrim, we've seen the base infantry. Looking at the codex cover, it looks like there's going to be a specialized cultist unit too, which would be neat.
That makes sense.
And that leaves room for, mathematically, I think I was talking to someone on the Funk Discord about it, there's room for 2 more units to line up with the other Chaos factions. I'm hoping one is a Sonic Dreadnought, and I'm hoping the other one is something that's a little fast, because I don't think they can take Warp Talons, and Warp Talons are the fastest unit that Chaos has right now.
That's surprising that they can't take them.
Yeah, I think only vanilla Chaos Space Marines are going to be the only ones that can take the Warp Talons, because Death Guard can't, Thousand Suns can't, Khorne can't. But I expect their movement is probably going to be fast. Like the guys can move 8 inches, or they can advance and charge, or something to make up for the lack of speed.
Yeah. Are you able to highlight Liar's final comment there?
I am not.
We don't have permissions, guys, because Mark's not on right now. But oh man, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it out loud because it's just so funny. We talked about it earlier. So that's what Fabius Bile was grafting on everyone. The final operation was the Chaos Taint. It is his perfect organism. Anyways. Hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. But with that, we'll go ahead and move into the end notes.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hear Mark read some of your fun lore on the Lorehammer Listener podcast, go ahead and send that to him, and he'll record the episode. And I'm not sure. I think he posts them on Patreon. Is that where they end up? Or they end up on Spotify? I'm not sure. Yeah. So go ahead. If you want to hear your lore read out by Mark, go ahead and send that to him, and he'll get that taken care of for you.
Yeah. And again, if you're just jumping in, Mark's not here because his internet just died. And so you got Logan and I. But thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody. So if you want to hear a little bit more of what I've done with podcast, go ahead and check out the Funkatronic Rex podcast. And we talk about different board games, card games, tabletop games, RPGs. We had Mark on as a guest, which is how he and I became friends. And yeah, also this has become a tradition now, I think, is like Court's Relic Corner. So behind me I have, for viewers, this came in the mail today. And for listeners, what I'm holding up is a 4-page Games Workshop 2002. It's like an intro booklet. So this thing showcases all the fun of what 3rd edition was back in the day. And it has, look at the classic GW guys in their red polo shirts helping a dude out. Like, yeah, man, this is all you need to start an army, and then spend $500 more. And so I got this. It's in like pristine condition, and I love it. It talks about old school White Dwarf. It's showcasing all the fun of GW back in the day. And it cost me like $6. So this is part of Court's Relic Corner, and I am stoked to add this to my collection. Has like the mail order. You could do like mail order call in and things like that. It's wild. Anyways, so Logan, where do we find you? Where do we get more of Logan?
YouTube at Hydra Thoughts. If you want to come see me talk about conspiracies, crimes, global mysteries, religious mysteries, come check me out. We have a good old time over there.
Yeah, man. You've been doing a lot of prepping and work and stuff. And
I have. I know I've been a little slower on getting the content out, but it's coming. I promise it's coming.
It's rad. Yeah, we're psyched,
there,
man.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
We've got some patrons to shout out. Some patrons on our Imperial Tithe. So we've got Fireborn86, Zach, Zubs, and Oliver. thank you guys for being members of the Imperial Tithe, and thank you, chat, for being here with us. All of you guys, we love seeing all the familiar names in the chat and hanging out. We really appreciate you guys being with us. Yeah. Anything else, Logan?
No, I just appreciate you all being here and sticking with us through the difficulties.
Yeah. Hey, man, we fucking rock this thing.
Court
hammer.
Pretty good. Court hammer.
Kick you off this. It's gonna be court hammer.
Anyways, love that.
Thank you guys, Logan. Let's hang out soon and play A Song of Ice and Fire.
For sure. Let's get that in.
Okay. Dig it.
All right.
Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.